How does the Indiana Fever put up 106 points, hand a championship contender, the New York Liberty, their worst loss of the season? And somehow that's not even the biggest story of the night. Because while Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Mitchell were breaking records left and right, Sophie Cunningham was quietly owning a slice of WNBA history. What happened after that on the court is one of the most dominant nights in Fever history. 10 broken records and a message sent to the entire league, which was almost ruined by an unhinged meltdown by coach Stephanie White before the game. What should the Fever do to finish the season strong? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. 3 days before this game, Sophie Cunningham's name was everywhere online and none of it was good. She'd just gone through the Chicago Sky mess where Dejonae Carrington caught her across the face and neck on a layup attempt hard enough to draw blood and got ejected for it.
Clark, Mitchell, and Boston on pace to become the highest scoring trio in league history. Clark sheds her, fires, and hits! Mitchell on the other end. Mitchell again! Kelsey Mitchell feeling it early. Now Boston charges in and lays it home. Clark again! 30 feet out on that one. A chance for three for Kelsey Mitchell as the Indiana trio is.
And Carrington posted white privilege from the locker room and tagged the Fever, and suddenly this wasn't just a basketball play anymore. It hit national broadcast news. Lawmakers weighed in. Former NBA players weighed in. And somehow in the middle of all that noise, Cunningham became the target. People online said she deserved it. So the question going into this Liberty game is simple: why is that same player 3 days later about to put her name in the WNBA record book? Because here's what actually happened behind the scenes. While the legacy WNBA media was busy dragging her online, Cunningham didn't hide. She showed up to practice locked in. And when reporters asked her about the outside noise, she said she really doesn't care about it and just wants to keep the main thing the main thing. That's not someone playing scared. That's someone getting ready to go to work. And you could see it from the opening minutes against the Liberty. Cunningham's shot selection looked completely different than it had all season. More aggressive, quicker off the catch, like she'd already decided she wasn't waiting for anybody's permission to shoot. By the time the box score came out, she'd gone 4 of 5 from 3, finishing with 12 points and a team-high plus 17 for the game. For made threes on almost no misses is the kind of shooting night that sounds fake when you say it out loud. Not just about the points on the board. Every single make forces the Liberty defense to guess wrong the next time down. When a shooter is hitting like that, defenders can't sit back and help off her anymore.
Now it's Boston facing pressure. So good in those situations. Three ball, Cunningham!
That is huge!
Whether it was a driving lane to the rim or a passing window to find someone else wide open. So Cunningham's shooting wasn't just a hot streak sitting on the stat sheet. It was the thing that made the entire Fever offense work that night. And that same shooting performance was about to land her a piece of WNBA history that nobody saw coming. Every player who's taken at least 100 threes in a single WNBA season was shooting the best percentage in the league right now. Not Sabrina Ionescu. Not Kelsey Plum. It's Sophie Cunningham sitting at 45.5% from deep this season. The best mark in the entire WNBA among high-volume shooters. That's not a hot week or a lucky month. That's a full season of numbers built shot by shot since the year started. And that number matters more once you understand how rare it actually is.
Bombs away from 3 today, starting with Caitlin Clark, retreat dribble over Brianna Stewart, and then the extra pass from Boston out to Cunningham. 7 of 10 from 3 are the Indiana Fever.
Most players who shoot that many threes see their percentage drop as the season goes on because defenses start scouting them, running them off the line, sending extra bodies their way. Cunningham did the opposite. Her efficiency held up and even improved as teams started paying more attention to her, which tells you defenses knew she was dangerous and still couldn't stop it. Now layer in the timing. This record locked in right after the worst week of Cunningham's season. The week where she
averaged the most points per game in league history. Good gets blocked by Timpson. Clark quickly ahead with it. Clark off to Cunningham, looking for another.
She got dragged online, painted as a villain, and turned into the face of a controversy she didn't start. Teammates and coaches talked about her mindset that week. And the word that kept coming up was locked in. Not rattled, not hesitant, not playing it safe to avoid more criticism. She kept shooting like the outside noise didn't exist. And the record book is proof it worked. Picture the third quarter against the Liberty. Cunningham catches the ball on the wing.
Clark, Rebecca Allen with her size on Kelsey Mitchell.
Clark sheds her, fires, and hits. Clark driving, taking, and splat.
Defender closing out a beat too late and she doesn't hesitate for a single second. She just rises and fires. Bottom of the net. That's the kind of shot that doesn't show up as dramatic on a highlight reel, but it's the shot that breaks a defense's spirit because it tells them there's no matchup that's safe anymore. That gravity she creates is exactly what makes Indiana's whole offense work. Once Cunningham's
Certainly a player you need to put a body on.
Clark connects on a deep three. Back to Clark. She's going to drive it this time. Boston will fire. You bet.
As a threat from anywhere on the floor, defenders can't help offer to load up on Clark or Mitchell. So the Fever gets switches and mismatches all game long. And Clark and Mitchell make defenses pay for every single one. This isn't a two-star show carried by Clark and Mitchell alone either. Lexi Hull grabbed her 500th career rebound in this same game.
The former league and finals MVP, this year's All-Star MVP, Clark. Again! Caitlin Clark. About 30 feet out on that.
Now, let's talk about Caitlin Clark's records. 29, that's how many career double-doubles Caitlin Clark has right now. And only 2 guards in the history of the WNBA have more. But here's what makes it wild. They needed way more games to get there than Clark has played. She's sitting at 82 career games total. Think about that for a second. A stat that usually takes a decade to build, and she's third all-time before finishing her 3rd season.
Better scoring guard in the league.
Boston, a three is good.
Indiana just so potent offensively because their ability to score in bunches, multiple players who can drain those threes.
Step back jumper is silky. 20 points for Caitlin Clark. Got hit, still finishes, plus the foul. What an impressive performance from the Indiana Fever.
Fever, the most dangerous team on the offensive end of the floor, especially their big three.
Now, the second record, and this one she already owned. Clark broke her own mark for 2010 assist games in a single season. She's now got 9 of them this year alone. No other player in WNBA history has more than 5 in a single season ever. So she's not just breaking the record, she's nearly doubling it while the season's still going. That stat line is brutal to repeat because it needs 2 completely different skills working at the same time.
Has been dialed in for Caitlin Clark this season, as Hastier couldn't quite pop it in. Here is Mitchell. Mitchell looking to break down Ionescu, and does with a little waltz to the cup. Here's Mitchell on a burner, zigging, zagging, dishing, Billings, yeah. So everyone's going to be all over Mitchell and Clark and Boston. Well, they do now. They also
score at a high level and run the offense at a high level in the same 40 minutes without the two getting in each other's way. Most guards pick one lane and live there. Clark's doing both over and over deep into her third year in the league. Her career total on that same stat line sits at 19 games with 20 points and 10 assists. Here's the number that should stop you. That's more than every other WNBA franchise has produced combined. Not more than most players. More than entire franchises. Decades of rosters, hundreds of players who've worn those jerseys. One player.
We are united. We are connected. We will not be divided. Every day these women put their on the line. Every day. When they go low, we go high. Love will win. Grace will win. Humility will win. And kindness will win. I stand by them. I will always stand by them. Everybody else can go to hell.
Has outproduced entire histories of entire teams in that specific category. She's also on pace for something nobody's ever done in this league, averaging 20 points and 8 assists across a full season. Clark already holds the record for most games in a career hitting that combo, sitting at 30. Now compare that to Skylar Diggins-Smith and Diana Taurasi, two of the greatest to ever touch a basketball, each sitting at 23 apiece, and both of them needed way more seasons to get there than Clark has played. Record, maybe the quietest one of the night, but just as heavy. Clark now has the
trying to create a fabrication or distortion of who I am, of what I'm about. Our players' success, our players' health and wellness, our players' safety is always a top priority for me. One of the things I pride myself on is my relationships with players. For those who have anything to say about the play in the last game, I didn't see the play in real time. I went straight to a press conference. I thought the play got called right. Thankfully, Sophie's okay. Was it egregious? Absolutely. When you have a chance to watch that over and over and over on replay, you can see that. I didn't have that in real time.
Most assists by any player through their first 3 seasons in WNBA history. And remember, she only played 13 games in year 2 because of injury. So she's not just doing this over 3 full seasons. She's basically doing it in 2.5. 5 records, 1 night, and each one measures something different about her game. Scoring, playmaking, longevity against history, pace against legends, and now a career mark built on missing a chunk of a season. Every era of the league got compared to her in the same night, and every era came up short.
Take personally any suggestions that I don't 100% always have my players back. I ride with them 10 toes down all the time. All the time. They know that. It's a shame that we can't have an opportunity to talk about what great basketball they're playing. Because they are playing. The reality is, with me, I will always lead with love. I will always lead with grace. I will always lead with humility. And I will always lead with integrity. Doesn't mean I'll always get it right.
About Kelsey Mitchell dropped 28 points on this Liberty defense. And honestly, that's just a normal Tuesday for her at this point. What makes this stretch different from any other hot streak you've seen in this league isn't the one big night. It's what happened before it and what's still happening after it. This game gave her 17 straight games scoring 20 or more points. That's already her own single-season WNBA record, and she's still adding to it every time she steps on the floor. Look at how she got the 28. Mitchell shot 11 of 16 from the field and went 4 of 4 from 3. And those numbers tell you this wasn't a volume night where she chucked shots until some fell in. That's efficiency. That's a scorer picking her spots, reading the defense, and making almost every look count. When you shoot over 90% combined between 2 shot types in the same game, that's not luck. That's someone completely locked into her rhythm. And she set that tone early. Mitchell already had 20 points by halftime, which means she'd hit her scoring number for the night before Clark or Cunningham had really gotten rolling. That's the kind of start that changes how the other team's coaching staff has to game plan at halftime, because now they're not just worried about Clark, they've got Mitchell torching them, too. And there's only so many bodies to throw at both of them. Here's a record that doesn't get talked about nearly enough. Mitchell sits 4th in franchise history in steals with 252 for her career. That's a defensive number. And defensive numbers never trend the way scoring numbers do. But it tells you Mitchell isn't just parked on one end of the floor. She's getting after it defensively, too. Picking pockets, jumping passing lanes, showing up on both ends of the stat sheet, even when nobody's talking about it. The team racked up its own history that night as well. This win gave the Fever their 15th game this season, scoring 100 or more points with 5 different players landing in double figures. 5 scorers means the offense doesn't live or die on one matchup, one hot hand, one defender having a bad night guarding one player. Then there's the second team record, 13 games this season where Clark and Mitchell have both scored 20 or more points in the same game. That's the most by any duo in WNBA history. Full stop. Put those 2 team records side by side and you get the real story of this Fever squad. This isn't a 2-woman act with role players standing around watching. It's a full roster peaking at the same time, scoring from everywhere, filling up a box score. Before the ball even got tipped, the story inside Gainbridge Fieldhouse had nothing to do with basketball. Stephanie White walked up to the podium for her pre-game media session and got booed by her own home crowd live in front of everybody. That's not something you see very often, a head coach getting jeered inside her own building before her team's even taken the floor. White didn't back down from it either. She stood there and defended player health. And she came out swinging at what she called hate and fear-mongering, trying to hijack the league. Strong words, and she meant every one of them. Standing at that podium with the boos still ringing around her, we are united. We are connected. We will not be divided. Every day these women put their bodies on the line every day. When they go low, we go high. Love will win, grace will win, humility will win, and kindness will win. I stand by them. I will always stand by them. Everybody else can go to hell. The reaction split the room right down the middle. Some fans backed her completely, and so did front office voices like Kelly Kroskoff, who came out in support of what White was saying. But plenty of people inside that arena were clearly frustrated, and you could hear it because boos don't happen by accident and they don't happen quietly. So picture the pressure building on White in that exact moment. She's getting booed at home. She's in the middle of a public firestorm, and in a few hours she's got to coach her team against the New York Liberty, a legit championship contender in the biggest game of the season so far. That's about as rough a lead-up to a game as a coach can have. Trying to create a fabrication or distortion of who I am, of what I'm about. Our players' success, our players' health and wellness, our players' safety is always a top priority for me. One of the things I pride myself on is my relationships with players. For those who have anything to say about the play in the last game, I didn't see the play in real time. I went straight to a press conference. I thought the play got called right. Thankfully, Sophie's okay. Was it egregious? Absolutely. When you have a chance to watch that over and over and over on replay, you can see that. I didn't have that in real time. Then the final buzzer sounded and Clark didn't dance around the topic when reporters brought it up. She said flatly, there was no way the team was losing this game for White. Plain and simple. No hedging. That's not a throwaway line. That's a player telling you exactly where the locker room stood before the ball was even tipped. Cunningham backed her up publicly, too. And that matters because these are the same players who could have stayed quiet and let the noise pass on its own. Instead, they closed ranks around their coach in real time in front of cameras right when it counted most. Now line up the chaos of that pregame with what actually happened once the game started. Everything about the first half looked calm, controlled, almost businesslike, like the team took all that noise from the podium and turned it into fuel instead of letting it turn into distraction. The final score, Fever by 14 over a title contender. Doesn't happen if a team is rattled or divided in the locker room. White said it best afterward herself, that hate and divisiveness don't win. And you could see that statement play out on the scoreboard in real time. This is the kind of moment that tells you everything about team chemistry heading into the playoffs. Because loyalty either holds up under pressure or it cracks. And this group didn't crack. The same night Stephanie White stood at that podium and got booed by her own crowd, her players walked out and gave her the loudest answer possible. And it wasn't with words. Go back to where this section started. Sophie Cunningham getting torn apart online, painted as the villain of the league. Days later, she owns the best three-point percentage in the WNBA. That's not a comeback story. That's a full roster clicking at the exact same time she needed it most. 10 records, 3 career milestones, a 14-point win over a championship contender. That's what this game actually means going forward. And Clark's still building her MVP case. If 5 players keep clicking like this together, good luck to whoever's drawing up a game plan to slow them down in the playoffs.